Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of the show. And as you can see, today we are not in the studio. We're outside. We are on the go. We are moving. And welcome to the million plus new subscribers since yesterday when we posted the last episode, the fourth episode. And like always, today we have our wonderful guest, Saad Ali, with us.
Hello.
Saad. What are you doing, Saad? Why are we not in our comfortable studio and why are we in the car? Come on, give us something.
Because it looks cool today.
Oh, because we had the sun out after a long time and we are very tired of staying at home because of the massive snowstorm over the weekend. And we're so tired of shoveling. Maybe you can see the snow on the side of the road. Yeah, this I dedicate this snowbanks to everybody who's anxious to come to Canada. The snowbanks welcome you. Anyways, what's today's show about, Saad?
All right. So today's show is about how green are EVs.
That sounds exciting. They sure have a green number plate in Canada.
Yeah.
So doesn't that make them green?
Not exactly.
Come on. Okay, so what makes an EV green? What do you have for us?
All right. So I've done some research and I found two articles about this topic. Article number 1: an electric vehicle is better for the environment over its entire life cycle than a gas-powered vehicle. Electric vehicles produce much lower greenhouse gas (GHG) emissions than gas-powered vehicles. This is true even when taking into account the vehicle's entire life cycle, from extracting the resources used to make it to scraping it at the end of its life. With an electric vehicle, the biggest environmental impact is produced during manufacturing. With an internal combustion vehicle, the greatest impact is generated during the utilization stage.
Yeah, I agree. Makes sense. But if we stop here for a second, I would argue that manufacturing an EV, especially the battery, is more hazardous to the environment than manufacturing a regular internal combustion car, because an internal combustion car does not use as many or as much rare earth minerals as does an EV. So one could argue that producing an EV versus an internal combustion car, an EV would be far more hazardous to the environment. Plus, based on reports that I have seen on the internet, a major component in the battery manufacturing is lithium. And hello. And that guy did not indicate. He didn't indicate again. He did. Okay, hello. Good job. Anyways, so as I was saying, so I think lithium mining is the new gold rush, where anything and everything goes. And in places where there's less regulation and more, what's the right word? More greed. People are just exploiting other people or poorer people into near slavery to extract as much lithium as possible. Anyways, what's next?
All right. Article number 2: how do electric cars compare with petrol cars? The green credentials of your electric car depend on how power is generated where you live. If you have solar panels, then your driving will be free of emissions. If your electricity comes from a local plant that's powered by fossil fuels, then you're just shifting your greenhouse gas emissions from your exhaust to its chimneys. But even in areas with the dirtiest coal-fired plants, coal-fired plants, electric cars still have lower CO2 emissions overall. This is because large power stations turn fuel into energy more efficiently than multiple small engines.
Agreed.
And it's easier to clean up the exhaust in their towering chimney stalks. And unlike petrol cars, electric cars will get cleaner if a wind farm or other renewable energy source opens up nearby.
So let's see. I think we have to look up and put on the screen how much of Canada's energy is produced renewably and how much of it is produced non-renewably, right? I don't know that number right now, but I'm assuming a lot of it is hydro and nuclear. But I'm sure that a significant percentage is also fossil fuels, right? Non-renewable. So I think as long as most of your grid is powered via non-renewable energy or non-renewable sources, then it is. I would argue that a lot of your EVs are not as green as they could be, right? Do we see any green cars around us? Anybody hating us for saying that? No?
No.
Okay. Any diehard Tesla guys around? However, I would agree that um, EVs are potentially more green than internal combustion engine or regular cars, right? What else? What else do you have?
That is it, but I have a summary.
Oh, you have a summary. What's the summary about?
To sum it up, ultimately, although the batteries for electric vehicles are obtained from buried minerals, EVs will always be more environmentally friendly than internal combustion engines in their whole life.
I think I I agree generally, but I think a lot depends on, as I said, a how is your city producing electricity or generating electricity?
Yeah.
One, and second, how long do you use those vehicles? Because if you use an EV for, I'm sure there's going to be some study saying um, the duration or the life cycle. Oh, I don't see a lot of green cars around us, but I do see that gas guzzling G wagon, right? So this is definitely an anti-EV stoplight. But anyways, so I think the life span of the EV also contributes to how green the car is, because if you take the car and for whatever reason the car is not on the road for, let's say, more than, I don't know, 100,000 miles, then it's not as green as a car which is on the road for longer, right? So that's another parameter. And I think one of my friends who has an EV, who we are also trying to get on the show, you know who you are. Um, he told me that EVs are crap in winter, especially for long distances, because of the low temperature, the car spends a lot of energy in keeping the batteries at an optimal temperature rather than producing electricity for the car to run, right? So, and then the third thing is, I'm not talking about things which are bad about EVs, but these are just some challenges that the EV guys, manufacturers have solved, right? Hey, I think for me, again, we talked about it, I think in the first or second podcast, is the first thing is pricing. EVs are overly priced. The differential or the delta between an EV with a decent range and a regular car is so much that you'll not consume that amount of gas, that dollar amount of gas during the lifetime of the car. So, or at least the lifetime you keep the car. So, that's one thing. The EVs have to become cheaper. They have to become more efficient. They have to have more range. And I think lastly, that car was too close to us. Lastly, they have to fix this environment thing, because I think just being EV is not good enough. What do you think, Sat?
I agree.
you have anything else to say other than after I agree? No?
I feel like you mentioned good points
Mm-hmm.
that are.
Thank you, Saad. Okay.
Um,
The other thing
yeah.
that I think is charging stations,
Yes,
right?
that's a big one.
EVs have to charge faster, and there has to be a lot more charging stations and charging points, both in cities and on highways, for EVs to be truly feasible. Even if my EV has less range, but if it charges faster and the charging stations are nearby, then a lot of the problems are solved. For example, if I go fill up my gas now, I'll spend like what 5 minutes, and the car gives me like 400-500 kilometers of range.
Yeah.
If I can do that with an EV, yeah, that's the end game more or less, right? So charging stations, charging time, and price. I don't know if anybody listening is in the EV industry, but if you are, sir, this is what you have to do. Take it from me. You can thank me later. Maybe send me a few free EV shares. For just focus on the word free. Okay, what else are we talking about on this podcast?
That is it.
This semi is blocking our view. Let's see if we can. I think since the time we started recording this podcast on EVs and how environmentally friendly they are, I've seen zero EVs on the road.
Exactly. Yes. I was
Typically,
just thinking the same thing.
typically we see tons of EVs, and today when you're actually talking about EVs and how green they are, we are seeing zero EVs.
Yeah.
Total karma, total karma. Okay. Yeah, I think while we are talking about, or while we have, finished talking about EVs and how environmentally friendly they are, any thoughts on what could be our next topic for our next podcast? Any ideas?
Well, we could talk about some other topics like video games, top 20
Ooh, I
video
like that.
games. Yes.
Let's do that. Okay.
Okay.
I like that idea. What else can we do?
I'm not sure. We'll have to think about it.
Okay. I like this video game idea. Let's do that. I think one of the things that I want to talk about is smartphones. I want to talk about what else I want to talk? I want to talk about so many things, but let's do these two things first. I don't want to review a smartphone, but I want to talk about the state of the smartphone industry and brainstorm with you um, as to what would the future of the smartphone industry look like, right? And I'm just trying to stall or this video till we at least find just an EV, just one God, please, before we end the video. But I think if after this traffic light we get no EVs, this is the end of this video.
Oh, there it is. I
Where
see
is
a
it?
Model Y right there.
Where is the Model Y?
At the signal.
Is there a Model Y there?
Yes, there is. Right there.
I don't see it. Model Y! Yet again, Elon saves the day. With that, thank you very much. I hope you guys like this conversation. I know this is a bit of a casual conversation, but we're trying to experiment with different formats and, different ways we can make these videos and these conversations more interesting. Keep us keep us posted if you like this format better than the studio format, and we'll see if we can record more of come on, Mr. Semi. We can record more videos while driving, or while this truck is moving away. Thank you. Or while maybe we change our setting. Sometimes we're in the studio, sometimes we're in the car. Different cars, of course. Maybe if people like it, we might even, rent some rent. By rent, I meant borrow some fancy cars that we could use to shoot our videos in. If anybody who has a fancy car is listening, you guys know how to reach us, and then we can shoot a video or a podcast in your fancy car.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I think that's enough for today. Thank you very much. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and we'll see you the next time.
Yep.
This road sure is bumpy. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
You got